So what about investment? So yeah, we have Ethiopia and Hyundai is investing in there to just uh, assemble
Mm.
their electric vehicles. Um, and you also mentioned that we have an abundance of lithium deposits in Zim. Are there any moves when it comes to trying to get some investment into Zim that could probably just accelerate our adoption for EVs?
Look, on my personal level, I've been in contact with a couple of investors all over. And I don't want to lie to you, if it wasn't for COVID, these investors would have been here probably by late last year, because their thinking is more of having renewable power generation, and then from renewable power generation they give pharmacies, medical personnel, these electric vehicles and electric bikes, because they see it more fitting to start off there. Like, let's say for example, imagine all the pharmacies have a small little electric bike, meaning you can just order your within there, they've got their own charging station, a smaller charging station at their branch, meaning that the guy can do his deliveries, go back 30 minutes, charge his bike, and then do his deliveries again. So those investors had more of that thinking. They want to make ease of doing business and reducing a bit of movement for people, just to reduce your stress of saying, I have to go to this place, I have to go to that place. Like for example, like how Amazon
Mm,
is currently doing now, because Amazon has actually in Europe, it's something that people haven't realized, but it has actually taken out DHL and FedEx indirectly,
mm,
but people haven't actually realized it that way, because DHL and FedEx, they're the biggest courier companies for anything they'll deliver. But now Amazon, they've got 2,000 electric vans currently hovering around, I think, the UK. So that's a lot of vans. So imagine in Zimbabwe, we have a similar setup. Do you think anyone will have a problem to say, I didn't get my medication or I didn't get my groceries? Because it's a matter of you ordering online, and okay, we'll send their little van with your stuff, and then they'll pay. It's not going to cost them money at all, because they've got a solar system at their premises that they can use to charge the van. So the investors I've been speaking to, that's the plan they have. And we are launching a dealership ourselves sometime in April. And the dealership is obviously going to serve Vauxhall, it's going to serve Tesla, it's going to serve, this is on a private level. And then on an approval level, we're going to be serving Peugeot. We're actually trying to get an approval from Peugeot. We're actually close to that. So we're going to offer the Peugeot electric range from the 208, the 2008, the 2008, the vans, everything,
mm.
everything under the PSA group. We'll be offering it with full
And
backup.
and this dealership will be in Zim.
It will be in Zim. We're actually building three places, three branches actually. We're going to have one
Okay.
somewhere in Harare West. I'm not going to disclose the locations yet. I just want you guys to be surprised and say, oh, this is where they're going to be. And one
Yeah, you
around
better
in
you
Zim.
better you better call us so that we just film a tour.
Yeah, no problem. And one in the industries, and then one in the upmarket area. So, and then we're going to have what we call a charging booth at the airport. Charging booth is
Oh,
whereby
nice.
those guys that want to hire cars out, they can actually hire an electric vehicle, and then we'll
Mm,
offer you an Airbnb, like somewhere where there's a charging station also. So
mm,
you get out of your plane, just jump into the electric car, you go to your accommodation, you do whatever you have to do, you do your runnings, and then you go back to your accommodation. You can charge your car. You don't have to worry about where am I going to get fuel, everything. No, your fuel is your house where you're staying. So imagine
true, true.
how convenient it is for tourists. Just imagine how convenient it is for tourists. They just jump in, and then when they're done, when they're home, they're sleeping, they charge their car, because it takes about 6 hours, and everyone sleeps almost 6 hours. So it's so convenient. But I'm surprised people
Mm,
don't see it that way. Mm.
And I'm happy that you mentioned dealerships because it was going to take me straight to pricing. So the assumption is electric vehicles are expensive for a lot of people. And it's true, they were first generation electric vehicles were very pricey. The technology was still new. These guys needed a way of recouping funds from their R&D. But in the
Yeah.
case of these new dealerships that will be coming through, what are the prices that Zimbos can expect to get a car that's similar to what they already own? So I'd say a car similar to your Honda Fits, a car similar to your
Okay.
Mercedes E-classes, and probably a car similar to a mid-sized SUV, if there is.
Okay. Like
Okay.
for example, it's gonna be, I'll just say it's gonna be slightly maybe $200 or $500 more. And the other advantage is you get that
Mm,
car. Okay, probably the basic range, the basic car will be at 150K range, but it's an upgradable battery. So the money you're saving from the money you're spending on fuel, you can put, maybe you can actually pay us maybe $3 or $2, whatever you have is a payment plan to upgrade your battery to go up to maybe 400 kilometers. So
mm,
you see the advantage that you have. Yeah. Meaning, say you're spending maybe $30 on fuel per day. You are now spending $8 on charging. Maybe you can spend an extra $12 to us to say, look, guys, this is my payment plan for a battery pack. I'm not happy with 150K. I want to go to 400K. We will get you, we will build up the battery pack for you. You do the payment plan. You buy your for example, your Nissan Leaf, which will be close to the same price as a Honda Fit. And then you're driving your car and you're paying for a bigger battery pack. And charging
mm,
stations are being planted all over. You're not limited to say, okay, fine, I've bought a car that's going to limit my journeys. No, you get your battery pack as long as you're paying. Like what you're saying, renting. For
mm,
us, it's not renting. You're actually buying your own battery pack, an upgrade.
mm,
So pricing is going to be more or less the same. For your luxury cars, let's say for comparing to maybe your E-Class, you'll probably be having the what can we give, the E208, the Peugeot E208. But now the advantage is the service you're spending on an E-Class is every 10,000 Ks. This one you're now spending every 30,000 Ks.
mm,
So if people look at it that way, if people look at maintenance more than acquiring the vehicle, they'll see the advantages of actually having an electric vehicle. I've had one question that someone asked me: what if the thing breaks, the electric motor? Right, an electric motor, yes, it can break. It's possible. It's not going to be expensive because comparing to how many components does an engine have, and how many components does an electric motor have? That will give you an answer of terms of pricing to replace the electric motor.
yeah, yeah.
So that question, I always leave another question for yourself to ask, to answer it.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know, Valentine. What do you think?
Well, I've got that whole thing of, if someone says they come to your dealership and then they see the prices, right? And then they're like, I know, but I can import one myself. So what kind of facilities are in place for people to import vehicles? Let's say a more favorable tax or favorable import or duty cost, more favorable cost when it comes to vehicle registration. The one thing I thought would be fair would say, like, an electric vehicle or a plug-in electric hybrid would pay half what an internal combustion engine vehicle would pay over the year. So that would, I think, push more people to do it. But that's a separate question. My first question, which was the more pertinent one, was: is there any way that, or are there any negotiations to make duty and customs for EVs slightly lower than that for internal combustion engine vehicles?
Okay. Yeah, this goes back to what I was telling you about the EMF, the Electric Mobility Framework Policy. That's the statutory instrument we are currently developing. Zimbabwe is actually thinking of all those incentives. I myself, to some people that have been ordering cars from me, I've been offering them those incentives already. But it's always good to have it on a national level, on a government level. So that's hence the decision by the government to actually come up with a legal framework policy whereby we have different number plates, duty exemptions, parking fees slashed, toll fees slashed, shopping mall specialized parking. Like, for example, I was in talks with Westgate to actually have parking written EV or low emission vehicle parking only. And the question was, how do those guards identify? That's when we come up with those new number plates. For currently now, it's going to take time, maybe six months, 5 months, 4 months for us to have that thing developed. What I've come up with, I've been pushing the Ministry of Transport to at least allow a modification on the number plates, the current number plate, to put a green strip around it. I know in the UK they just put one strip, but we want to put a green strip all around, a reflective green strip. That's how people can distinguish that low emission vehicle and this one is a high emission vehicle. So I think we're in the pipeline of that, making it a legal framework, not a private framework, but a legal framework, so that when someone orders a vehicle, but we want to make a regulation that you cannot order the vehicle yourself. You have to go through a dealership. As you know, these vehicles are quite dangerous. So we don't want people to order substandard vehicles. And then it comes here, the car blows up. It's going to be a problem for Zimbabwe. It's going to be a problem for the manufacturer, because they will be asked who allowed you to get the vehicles there without certification.
But then again, it's kind of stopping people who want to buy like a second-hand vehicle that's within, let's say, from 2014 upwards or 2015 upwards.
No,
They can easily acquire
you'll
one.
be allowed to buy.
Let's
You'll be allowed. Yeah, you'll be allowed to buy it on your own, but you have to go through a technician to say, okay, fine, this is the vehicle I want to buy. Then the technician will assess the vehicle before you buy it. Because if you buy a substandard vehicle, it's going to be a problem for the technicians locally, because you're not able to take the car back to Japan, and you're not able to take the car probably to South Africa, because South Africa have their own regulations in place for these vehicles. Because these vehicles, to them, they're quite sensitive. And they, you know what, they don't want bad publicity. Like, for example, the autopilot with Tesla. Remember when things went haywire on Twitter? Elon Musk quickly went and upgraded the system, because electric vehicles, there's companies that are so against them because they know they're going to lose money from selling oil. So they will not advocate for them. They'll actually wait for a mistake. Right now, the Hyundai Kona, there's a lot of recalls. For Zimbabwe, I would not suggest anyone to buy a brand new latest model. At least buy a car that's 2 years backward, because they've perfected it. These newer ones now, because they're now in a rush to meet demand all over the world. Because after COVID, everyone now wants to save the environment. So everyone now wants to own an EV. Tesla, they actually have a backward, as you know. They're actually trying to push their gigafactories, the Chinese factories, because that Model Y, the pre-orders are just insane. The Rivian, if you know the Rivian, they said they're going to only make 500. They've all been pre-ordered. The Hummer Electric, all pre-ordered. I think LeBron James is the only guy who was given the demo unit for their promo. Otherwise, all of them, they're pre-ordered. So that's the kind of demand that's there at the moment globally, before we even think of Zimbabwe.
But globally, there is people are meeting the infrastructural needs globally. So I'm guessing the demand kind of means it's now convenient enough elsewhere in the world for people to be like, yeah, for my first car, or if I'm gonna buy a new car, I'm just gonna go EV, because it's as good as having.
But Zimbabwe is going that way. Imagine our own Uber via is using electric, and GPA is developing all this. As I say to people, Zimbabwe is a very small country compared to all these other countries. It's very small. So if you have 40 charging stations in a country like Zimbabwe, that's more than enough, because we are going to charge our cars more at home. I always okay. I can ask Edwin and you, Valentine. How many times do you charge your phone at work?
I work from home, so probably once a day, twice a day, once a day, I guess.
Yeah, for me it's like once a day, because well,
You see, you work
it's
from
a
home,
Huawei.
but you charge. Now you see. Hey, have you ever had anyone who says, okay, I'm going to charge my phone at the office? You charge your phone at home overnight. If you treat your car as your phone, like how you treat your phone, trust me, you will not even think about a charging station. I'm allowed to go and charge at Econet's new charging station. But I'll tell you now, I've owned an EV for almost 1.5 years now. I've never gone there. I charge my car at home. There's a time I was driving in town, it was left with a range of 12 kilometers. I don't know where I got the guts to say, okay, I live 17 kilometers from town, but I managed to get home with those 12 kilometers. And when I got home, it had 2 kilometers written on the range. And I charged it home. So I feel Zimbabwe, the charging stations, very much, you're right, we need them. But don't put that in your mind, because you're going to see that there's no point for me to go there because I'm charging my car at home.
Well, I wouldn't say there's no point for it. I think listen, if I was going to buy a car, I'd buy a plug-in electric hybrid. If I was going to buy a car, if I had the money to buy a car now, I'll probably do that. But I'm thinking about the person who's like, okay, in case of an emergency and my electric car is still charging, what am I going to do? Again, we have to rely on, for example, you said in Europe, these things are commonplace. In Europe, you can get an Uber, you can get a Lyft, you can get whatnot, all EVs. That network is there, it's extensive, it's 24 hours. It's, and you said Zimbabwe is a small country. There are so many stop gaps we need to fill, or gaps we need to fill, before we can then say, oh no, Zimbabwe will be able to, Zimbabweans will be able to make the shift to electric vehicles. So Zimbabwe's got this, I want to own my own thing sort of mentality. That someone will be like, I want to own, my own car and have, I want to be in control of this. So for them to feel that they're not in control because don't have enough charging stations around, or they get to a charging station, you said 40 in Zimbabwe, and they're congested because we know how Harare is by itself when it comes to people and EVs coming into Harare, let's say in mass, in the number that we have internal combustion engine vehicles. There's going to be congestions. There's some people running around with range anxiety. People are not used to it. Again, it will help you, like what you said before, it'll help you manage your time. Problem is, not everyone is familiar with that. So it's the cultural shift that's going to take time, even if the infrastructure is there. Because an idea can be good, but sometimes about people don't care. They just be like, yeah, we're happy with the way things are. So I'm guessing it's incumbent on you to then make the facilities in place for it to look cheaper and for it to be better. Then people will be like, listen, it's really cheaper. It makes sense.
Look,
let's do it. That's the only way I think you can complete
it. In a level like this, for example, I'm in the private sector, so sometimes you're limited. You have to get the government engaged in some such things, because this, as a private sector, there's a lot of investment you have to pull through. Yes, you want the business, you want all this stuff, but we're talking of millions to actually make sure that there's a proper charging network. Like, look at DPA. They're a power generating company. They're quite big. They're going to make a charging network because they know it's going to serve their Uber system, which is Via. So for them, in the long run, they will actually say, okay, fine, let me open it up for the public. But as you said, congestion is something. My thinking when I started following this electric vehicle for Zimbabwe, I thought it would be best for people to start with plug-in hybrid. And then electric vehicle would be a preference. Plug-in hybrid will get people to get the sense of owning something that runs on electricity. And then the little petrol engine will be there as backup, like the BMW i3. I even thought of bringing one, because the BMW i3, I think, gives you about 80 Ks from the electric motor, and then the petrol engine will kick in after that runs out. I even thought of that. But then I looked at Zimbabwe being, the fast-paced people. The iPhone 12 came out by people, the iPhone 12 one, and then the Pro Max. But when people bought them, a lot of people were buying the Pro Max. So I thought to myself, probably that's what's going to happen. People will just jump over to electric more than plug-in hybrid.